Watch everybody. Thought I saw Ronan V in here. OG. Just want to say what's up to him. I lost it. Anyway, nonetheless, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and Paolo, Brooke, and everybody in here. Thank you so much. And yeah, tomorrow's gonna be interesting. You know, like the Web3 stuff is no joke, right? You know, I look at the Zed drops. You know, Top Shot with and Roham and those guys and gals have built something incredible. They pushed back 2 hours today with a trillion engineers. So it's been a challenge, and just a huge shout out to the NFT 42 crew who I'm working with. We're going to announce a new platform called Nameless tomorrow, along with this launch. So that's been exciting. Real on-chain gang. Learned a lot. Super excited about it, and was looking forward to this Clubhouse. And just great to see so many people in the chat that I'm friends with, you know, that I admire, that I'm just glad are here tonight, and I'm ready to answer things and jam and wherever you guys want to take it.
Hell yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Look, I got sent the tweet that you're dropping tomorrow at 5:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For everyone in here, that's at 2:55 on the West Coast, and I believe in the UK it's 10:55 p.m. And for a lot of people, I guess that's even better than your original 8 a.m. But why don't we start by telling people where they're going to be able to find this drop and all that good stuff, like maybe the
yeah, it's going to be on VeeFriends.com. I wanted to, you know, I'm building out an intellectual property. I think that is going to be the NFT legacy. I think, I think there's going to be a million things, excuse me, but one of the things I'm most excited about is I view the NFT platform the way I think movies and video games and books have been, and cartoons and toys have been looked at in the past. You know, anybody who follows me somewhat closely knows I love garage sailing, I love pop culture, I love baseball cards and action figures and comics, and you know, I built VaynerMedia to buy nostalgic brands and IP. It's why I did the K-Swiss deal, because it was an old school sneaker brand, and like for me, I just never thought that I would have I didn't think of myself as like Angry Birds. Like I wasn't gonna develop a game, that wasn't in my DNA. I wasn't gonna develop a movie. I wasn't gonna write a fictional book. Like there was just no path for me to create my own intellectual property that I thought was authentic to me and comfortable, and I felt that I could nail. There's something about the NFT part and the way I'm doing it that falls a little bit more into, maybe more into like the Magic the Gathering, Pokemon realm of like cards with characters that really feels real to me. And so it drops on VeeFriends.com, and I'm pretty excited about it.
That's so cool. I mean, I think the whole NFT world is excited about it, Gary. that 1 week push and wait made everyone even had everyone hyped up even more. But I think it really had everyone even think about the metrics of your drop. You know, like you were very secretive about it, only showed a selected few, and we were all tweeting like, "Oh, we saw this drop. It's really cool," but nobody really got to see what the drop is. And I think it was awesome that you kind of you put your website out there.
Yeah, once I knew that we weren't gonna make it, and I just felt like, it's funny. I come from such an e-commerce background, and kind of went through that Web 1 to Web 2 world, and we're just so spoiled in Web 2, right? Like Amazon services and fucking Stripe and like Shopify, like, I just really didn't feel like it was prime time. I think a lot, I also am empathetic. Like I know a lot of people that are gonna look at this are gonna be first time, and I just really wanted to have it right. And so once I realized we weren't dropping last Tuesday, I was like, okay, Wednesday, I don't remember anymore, but I was like, I'm not gonna hold back the information. Like I wanted to hold back the information in Dutch because I was extremely scared, because I had so many friends talking about supporting me and this and that. I was like, man, are like people gonna buy these up like and just resell them? Like how do I protect some people that have really just put together the 0.5 to 3 ETH, depending on I Dutch auctioned. I was worried about them going high. So just thought about a lot of stuff, thought it was the right move to put out much more information about the project. I think, it was very important to me to create like the conference, some of the access stuff, the gift code, the hangouts. Wanted to show that there was a lot more we could do with the NFT projects. For me personally, it was also a play to create value in the short term while I go and try to, land somewhere between Pokemon and the Smurfs, right? That's kind of how I keep talking to myself about this, which is like, what can I actually do with these characters over the next 40 years in consumer packaged goods and in books and animation, in streetwear collaborations. Like, I'm genuinely, I enjoy being the human behind Garyvee, but being Garyvee is tough, right? Because there's a lot of things I'm passionate about, but I'm aware that 35% of people are going to tune me out immediately because of my style of communication. I think being a human, you can only make so much impact. But for me, like having empathetic elephant or patient panda, or all the things that are now at my disposal from an IP standpoint, some of the things that I'm passionate about. Look, I've said this consistently. I'm an incredibly big byproduct of very good parenting and circumstance. So I have a lot of gratitude, and I have a lot of things I want to share about being an alpha winner. Needs to be more around sympathy and compassion and kindness and patience and being the bigger person, not about like flexing and like scolding somebody in a meeting or thinking you're hot shit. And what's ironic is my energy as a communicator makes it very difficult to a certain demo for me to land that. For another demo, it lands. But having these characters at my disposal now for the things I'm passionate to put into the world is a real blessing, and I'm very grateful and I'm excited.
I love that. Yeah, you are excited about the characters, and you started drawing them a really long time ago as well. So it's what's cool about that, you can tell by the way you speak about that little smile you got when you talk about the astronaut that you love so much. And so, what's your favorite character you drew so far?
It's funny. I would by the way, on that note, a lot of the early nights here in Clubhouse, as everybody remembers, the early nights only 3 months ago, I was in rooms here defending NFT artists that like their art was actual art, and that a lot of the establishment was super ridiculous about their point of view. What's been most fun for me is watching so many that I've defended razz me and say that my doodles aren't art. And I'm like, Jesus, it's amazing in 100 days how people, but for me, probably the one I chose to be the mascot. When you see the logo on VeeFriends.com, if you go right now, I drew a character called the very, 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 very lucky black cat, mainly because I don't want black cats to be bad luck. It's really as simple as that. I just don't want it. And I'm gonna put my marketing machine and my 45 years of effort to change the narrative. I was talking to a friend who's like, no, you can't do that, it's hard, like it's possible or something. I was like, pink was the primary boys color in society 150 years ago, right? And
what? I had no idea.
And so like, I love that kind of shit. Like, that it was marketing and communications that, created a scenario where, diamonds were given for engagement. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do. Like, people are very bad at history. Back to history, there was a time when humans walked the earth and didn't value gold. Like, history is misunderstood, and it's an incredible indicator to the future. And so my favorite character is taking a character that has an extremely negative point of view in our society, and I'm gonna enjoy myself and the process of seeing what I can do with the flip of that narrative. So there's literally a black cat sitting on top of my name and my logo, and I would say that's my favorite. Though I will say that Patient Pig and Patient Panda, I'm a very big fan of patience. I think people are very confused by, for everybody in this room, I think people are just incredibly confused by how much more time they have to do their thing. And I'm a big fan of patience, and I think a lot of people have a lot of anxiety and unhappiness because they haven't done what they thought they would do at 27 or 32 or 41, and I think that's unfortunate. And I think a lot of our societal norms are based on when people died at 45. So the patient characters are very, very big on my list.
Yes, I love that. I really enjoy the characters, but I love how you speak about the very, 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 very lucky black cat, trying to changing the narrative and telling your narrative. But what you had me thinking right now, changing the narrative, the whole narrative in life and society, this digital revolution, right? So it's kind of like it fits in the mold, exactly what's happening right now with the narrative being completely shifted and everyone moving on chain. I think it's super cool. Or even this, we have G Money on here with the 8 Punk and everything. I mean, things are changing. So
yes, they are.
Think it's,
yes, they are.
I mean, oh my God. I mean, G Money, you were telling me, you were the one telling me, you should seriously get this punk. And we had a conversation about everything changing. What do you make of VeeFriends and the drop and everything? Have you had the time to look at it? Because you're like a super OG.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it last week before in the private showings, like I think a day or two before, and I was really impressed with it, right? Because it's like a lot of times people will reach out to me and be like, hey, like I want to do an NFT, and a lot of times it's just like a piece of art or something like a collectible or whatever it is they want to do, and I'm like, you kind of like need to offer something more as like a value prop, right? So I think that's something that Gary is doing really well, is that there's going to be like some residual value here. Like there's going to be a reason to collect these, right? Which I think, you've seen your fair share of people that just don't engage with their community, right? Because it's ultimately like you're doing this for your fans and for engagement. So if like you were to sit there and just kind of like drop an NFT and then just walk away, it's like the same as like, pumping a coin and like dumping on your followers, right? Like, it's like the crypto equivalent of that. So I love the fact that like what he's doing is like super innovative. You're taking it to the next level. So it's going to be exciting to see how other NFT drops start upping their game after this.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I mean, I think I've been dropping videos of me talking about ETH in 17 and 18 just to give people a little context. Like, I think I'm so loud that people forget that. I try, why in the world would I ruin my reputation? So I try not to talk about shit I don't know, and I watch, and I wait for that moment. And, as you know, G Money, we met a little while ago, and me and AJ have been on a very deep dive versus a casual dive. And first I spent an enormous amount of time on punks and just all the different chains, and just getting a sense of where I felt comfortable. Like, I mean, this has just been the story of my life, right? Like e-commerce, all the OG liquor store owners made fun of me. YouTube was a complete, like, had I lost my mind. Social was ridiculed. You can't imagine the jokes that people made about me when I started an agency in Madison Avenue. And, I have a lot of compassion to why there's cynicism or doubt, but it's an incredible oxygen for me. Like, I feel like my whole career has been led up to this moment. Like, I love creation. I mean, I created myself in a way, right? Like, I love character creation. I love this. I understand it. I mean, I literally garage sale to buy pop culture, right? So I feel extremely prepared, and obviously I care about the short term, and I created a lot of offline triggers to make sure I support people that support me to the best of my ability. But this is for me a very long game, like dramatically longer than I think anybody, even as my inner circle started like peel away their time with me over the last 3 months. I think people got a little bit more, oh, okay. And so I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. I'm like so nervous because I think tomorrow I'm worried about like that first hour. There's always like, just reading the Zed and Top Shot comments every day like scare the shit out of me because I'm gonna want to reply to everything tomorrow. And I have a whole bunch of noobs. So it's gonna be a really interesting day, but I haven't felt like this in a long time. Tomorrow's a little, I haven't been nervous in a little while, which means I'm really onto something, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, what's really, well, first of all, super exciting to hear you being excited like that. I remember when you showed us with Paulo the project, and I texted, I said, yo, what am I allowed to tweet? And you're like, that I'm gonna spend the 45 next years of my life on this project. And I was like, that is bull, and I fucking love that. We've hosted, we've had a chance to host probably a lot of drops, and a lot of the times it's just kind of there's a lot of, it's deceiving, right? It's deceiving. And I think you're setting, like when it comes to people with, you know, with influence and following from the outside, and you're like, damn, I wish you had added a concert ticket to this. I wish you had added some utility to that, because a utility can be more than just what people think. It's just access. You're tokenizing time and access in such a brilliant way, right? Because whatever people buy tomorrow at 5:55, it's going to give them different level of access to you in a way. And you've never really sold that.
You know what's funny? The access to me is actually was a late addition, because I started seeing so many things not going well. And I was like, you know what, let me throw this in the mix so that people can understand you can do this. Because I think, you know, for example, there's a boatload of people that I hope follow this model so I can bid on it. like I want to go in studio with The Weeknd. Like I want to hit tennis balls with Novak Djokovic. Like, you know, like I'm into that shit. So that was that. I mean, I think the bigger thing is the conferences. You know, what was so fun for me is I've been wanting to do this. South by Southwest changed my life. And I've been wanting to do this conference for 10 years. So that's the other thing. I think people are gonna, you know, one thing I'm trying to mentally prepare for is if this goes well, there's gonna be a big number associated with, I have 10,255 tokens, you know? So, you know, if it goes really well, there'll be the headlines of big numbers, and I'm like, meanwhile, I'm hiring projected 50 people for the animation. Like we're building out these characters, right? These are hefty 7-figure cost, you know, even potentially 8-figure costs on VCon, the conference that comes with every token. So my accountants were baffled when I told them, when they projected the floor of this project, and I said, look, we need to talk about what happens if we lose money on this. And they just couldn't wrap their heads around it. I was like, look, this is a corporation. You know, I don't have the, you know, Beeple and many others who I admire, like they're selling as artists, and you know that's where it stops and starts, which is incredible, and kudos. And I think there's so many great projects. For me, I'm building a company, and so at some level, this is I'm not gonna say it's fundraising, but it's like, you know, I'm definitely gonna spend the money to build out what I'm building. So and then like just like thinking all that through, when you get those dollars or that money's in Ethereum and paying the taxes and having the dollars to throw on 3 years of conferences. So there's a lot of complicated shit in this process, but the journey of building out a blueprint that others can learn from and tweak and make better and build on top of. And then much like I did with Wine Library TV, there was not a lot of long form at all videos on YouTube. And I remember I'm like, I'm gonna do this so people realize YouTube's much bigger than pirated SNL clips, because that's what it was for all the OGs in this room in 2006, February 2006. But then also for me, this is like insane. I can't believe I get the, you know, luxury of trying to like build out an alpaca character, or you know, or lit lamb, or like I've got real fun in front of me. And you know, I've spent the last 12 years very quietly building an extremely large 1,500 person global company with VaynerX that just opened an office in Mexico City, has 150 people in Asia, has 100 people plus in London. Like, I built a really large company quietly while everybody thought I was Garyveeing it, and I'm gonna use that infrastructure to build this.
I freaking love that. And you know, also another point that I was thinking about, what's cool about the fact that you pushed your drop a week. I mean, your fans made a heck load of money with ETH going up, because you had like 100,000 people learning on Discord, what is a MetaMask? What is this? What is that? How do you buy ETH? What is ETH? I mean, all your content leading up to this has been teaching and educating, not just, hey, I'm dropping this, cost an ETH, bye. It's like you're teaching people for weeks, for months, and with the price of ETH literally skyrocketing, I mean, you've done your fans a service at this stage, and I think this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, to me, you know, like, obviously, you know, I think all of this is very intense shit, and I keep telling people, be calm, like just learn. To me, the point that I'm most, you know, here's something that the room might find interesting. I grew up in Web 1.0, truly. I launched an e-commerce website at scale in 97, registered in 96, and like, people were scared to put a credit card into a computer. Like, I would be on a liquor store floor in 1997, 1998, for 20 minutes talking to 4 people in a circle, marveling at this idea that they could put a credit card into this website and not have to drive from New York to Wine Library because we had such a good store. Like, they just thought, like, people were baffled and they were scared. Would my credit card get stolen? And you're seeing that happen with non-custodials. Like, people are scared. People are scared to like connect. People are scared to like lose their seed phrase. People are scared that they might click something and they'll get their stolen. Their laptop gets compromised or hard drive, like there's fear. And you're right. I mean, like, one of, by far the best part of this journey is I respect the OGs, and it's funny to say the OGs, but the OGs of 2017, 18, the Larva guys and Jim, NFT 42, and Roham with Pick Kitties and now NBA Top Shot, and many, many, many other women and men. And like, many of them have DM'd me in the last month every single day and said, I just thought you were another one of those people. I didn't really know your stuff. I heard of you, or I saw one Instagram, thought you were dick face. And, and,
I've gotten that.
and like that article you put of like how to set up a MetaMask, or what is Rainbow, or, like what's non-custodial versus custodial. Like, we put in a lot of work and we've onboarded a lot of people. And tomorrow, many people will miss out or decide not to jump in. And either they've made money, to your point on ETH. My great hope is if they don't get what they want, or the floor doesn't get low enough on the Dutch, that they take those, dollars and do something by supporting other projects. One of the things I'm most excited about is after this launches and I take the dollars I need for taxes and VCon and operational and maybe $1 or $2 for myself, one of the things I promised myself is I'm doing 2 things. One, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of Jordan rookies and Charizard hollows. And 2, I'm going to go and, I don't know if some of you saw this, but it was a very big thread I asked about independent favorite artists. And so I have that thread I'm gonna go back to, and I'm just gonna take a full day one day and just go and buy an ungodly amount of art that I subjectively think looks cool. Not overly thinking that it will go up or down or left or right, but just like with Web 2.0 and just like with the liquor business and just now with the ad world, I will jump into new things. It's who I am. I'm truly a creative entrepreneur, but I love being part of communities. Like, some of my best friends in the world I met in Web 2.0, and just the 98% of the people I've met in 3.0 on blockchain, or, and different chains, Polkadot or Cardano or Solana, like there's so many cool people just doing such mutable level 2, VR, decentral, like just the sheer creativity and the passion. And look, I think there's an unbelievable level of greed and short-term behavior, because that's the nature of it. Like, there's a lot of that going on here, more so than Web 2.0, because you can actually see things happen very quickly, but it's there's so much more pro than con. And I think many incredible things are happening from it, and I'm excited to be meaningfully involved.
So much comes to mind, right? Like, I'm listening to you, I know you well, I know you both from, your persona and from you personally behind the scenes. And, what I just heard you describe is, I'm listening to what may become the next Pokemon franchise, but built on blockchain. It's like sitting down with, when they're creating the founder of Garbage Pail Kids or Pokemon and saying, hey, we're doing this, but we're doing it on blockchain. I was watching you on CNN and I was like so fucking excited inside of me looking at you and seeing you being interviewed, just because like I know on all things Web 1.0 and 2.0, you're very famous for making significant early investments. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you bought your Facebook shares from Zuck's parents and your Twitter shares from the former CTO that walked away. and I look at all of these things and how significant you've been in, you know, the Pokemon, let's call it, craze, and understanding everything that you know, understanding your relationships with, you know, some of the biggest tech entrepreneurs in the world, you know, hearing you talk about like, fuck, I tweeted Uber needed a CEO and Travis responded, you know, and I look at where you are now with all of that knowledge, and, you know, I don't take lightly that you built a 1,500 fucking person agency that's a social media influencer marketing business in 2021, while a lot of the people in the world still don't even know how effective influencer marketing is. Like, I think there's still a big part of the world that barely are waking up to social media influencer marketing because they're now hearing a TikTok. And I look and I sit back and think, like, you have so much accumulative knowledge, experience, and relationship currency as you build this and you shape it. And I hear you got a vision, you don't. What I hear is like, yo, this is fucking Pokemon of this day, built on blockchain first. So I just wanted to share that with you and congratulate you, because for you to jump out and make this move, again, it's different than anybody else making it, right? Like, you're so visible, you're so in front of everybody, you go all around the universities.
We're losing you.
Yeah, we're losing Paolo. First of all, it's very kind. Two things. Paolo, thank you. Two things.
I'm driving, but go for it.
Yeah, two things. One, Travis actually was the one that asked me to retweet it, and it was Ryan Graves who answered the tweet, because Travis and Garrett had Uber Cab as a side project. Uber Cab was the first name of the company for all the kids in the room. Second, look, Pokemon's the biggest IP in the world now, bigger than Star Wars and Marvel. So, you know, what I want everybody to hear is like, you know, I could see a lot of people that are very knowledgeable about intellectual property saying, Gary's fucking delusional. What the fuck is he talking about with Pokemon? It's $90 billion IP. Like, but I think it's really important for people to hear this. What I said earlier between Pokemon and Smurfs, like, I don't understand why somebody wouldn't try to. It's, you know, it's just like when everyone's like, thinks that I'm so obsessed with buying the Jets. I'm obsessed with trying to buy the Jets. I'm not obsessed with making VeeFriends as big as Star Wars and Marvel and Pokemon. I'm obsessed with the curiosity of, am I good enough over the next 4 decades to do that? And if it ends up being Hanna-Barbera, then that's insane. Funny thing happens when you shoot for the moon. You end on top of very large mountains as a default prize. And so, you know, if nothing else, I think people very much don't understand ambition. And it doesn't need to be I think a lot of people talk with delusion, but I think when you believe you genuinely have the capability and you're curious if you can, but then you also have the humility to, you know, I have to counter what I'm saying right now at 79 years old and saying, look, you know, 34 years ago, I tried, it was harder, or this happened, or I got distracted, or VR came along and I got more excited, or I wigged out in 2037 and moved to, you know, a sheep farm in Peru and fucking loved it. You know, like whatever it is, but like, I think people need to be more comfortable with having their ambition. I think equally, I think a lot of people talk a lot of shit. Like the amount of people that roll up on me and say they're gonna be a billionaire, and I ask them 3 questions and they're such devastating answers. I'm like, bro, you need to focus on being 100,000-aire, you know, like, and so I think that there's a balance there, but yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm 45 years old. I'm such a major product of Americana commercial, you know, cartoons making toys, right? Thundercats, He-Man, Transformers, RoboCop, Alf. Like, you can't imagine how in the pocket of IP creation, the A-Team, WWF, happened in front of my eyes when Vince McMahon taking over his dad's business. Like, this has been in me the whole fucking time, and there's a lot of content. There's a lot of funny things in old wine libraries in 2006, 7, 8, 9. So it feels very authentic to me.
It is. It sounds very authentic. I'm gonna tell you from a third-party perspective, and it definitely looks just as authentic when you just look at the website you put together. When you look at like the detail that went into that and all of it. I'm honestly curious. Is there some stuff you can share whether like on the metrics of the drop, how it's gonna happen? Like, is it all dropping at 5:50?
Yeah, I'll give you.
Different time set up.
Yeah, I'm dropping it at 5:55 p.m. You know, it's moved so much now that we're here. 5:55 p.m. tomorrow Eastern. I'm dropping 48.72 or something like that. About 50% of the project tomorrow. It's a 5-day drop event. So actually, let me pull it up because the Clubhouse is getting the data. I'm sure I see a lot of people from the Discord in here, so they'll share it. Though I've shared this in there, but it's about 50%. Let me give you exactly because here it is. 48.72% of the tokens tomorrow, 19.996 the next day, then 11.80, and then 9797. So 5-day event, about half tomorrow. I'm excited about it.
Wow.
And it's gonna be 5:55 p.m., 20-hour auctions, Dutch auctions. Give us a 4-hour break before we reboot the next day. So that's kind of how I'm planning to do it.
Just for everybody to know, a Dutch auction is the reverse of the auctions you used to see on the English auctions. They go down in price as they get bought out. Exactly like the Larva Labs Meebit drop happened. It was going down as more Meebits were being minted. So you capped even how much you can make on that. And I think that's cool, right? Because you mentioned, I don't need a headline saying dinner with Gary sells 2 million.
Yeah,
I just want everybody to be.
By the way, I've been dropping the prices all day. Like as ETH
Is
went.
that because of the price of ETH?
Yeah. I mean, originally, like I'm gonna reverse engineer what happens with the actual results, right? Like, I know I've done a lot of homework. You know, I have a very large speaking bureau too, Vayner Speakers, and we've been doing a ton of homework on the biggest events in the world. So I have a good sense of what a $3,000-$4,000 4-day ticket looks like. So I'm just gonna reverse engineer, you know, on that part. I mean, look, I think I'm building something very, very real in intellectual property, and if I'm right, those things work themselves out. But the conference and some of the access stuff, as ETH has gone up, I've adjusted some prices just because I just want to be fair to the best of my ability, and like I didn't need there's only so much you can do if someone thinks they're paying so much for a conference, and I just need to think through everyone's psychology. I've been living in my Discord. And so I'm listening. Listening is how I make my decisions.
I noticed that you also been into several I admired the grind always. I mean, been seeing it on social media for years and years and years, but I saw you in the Bored Ape Discord. You're in Discord, you're on Twitter, like nonstop, and your brother too, and you guys are just reaching out to a bunch of people and just, and both sides. I think that's cool because you understand community building, and there's obviously a very, very, very tight core community in Web3, and even on NFT, like Twitter for NFT space and everything, on Clubhouse too. I mean, I've seen you drop into the other day, you dropped into a random small room full of Bored Apes, and you just came and showed some love and gave it some traction and just, helped everyone out. So I thought that was cool.
I will never understand how people are not driven by gratitude. I wish you understood what my brain's doing right now when you said that. The thought that I jumping into a Clubhouse and giving love is like some great gesture is so uncomfortably flattering and humbling, and is a difficult thing to like swallow. Like, which is what drives me to do it. Like the thought that I mean, for everybody in the room that's over 40, do you remember when nobody gave a shit about a business person? Like I do, because I was one at 12 and 14, and like literally Bill Gates was the only person that anyone talked about. And he was such a fucking nerd, I couldn't even get my head around like looking up to that. It's like, but like the fact that entrepreneurship is, like so there, like it's crazy to like feel like that. And like, of course I want to give love. It's why I always stop. It's why I always talk. It's why I want to do stuff like that. It's why I've DM'd a trillion artists and saying what's up. It's so, I mean, the talent. Look, it's very funny. A lot of people are, a lot of people like my doodles, but a lot of people are razzing, and I get it. They're not, like, it's not the most complicated thing of all time, but I really like them. And like I really think they're good characters. And like, oh, by the way, Snoopy is not so fucking complicated to draw. Oh, it's not so intense. And so like Bart Simpson's not the hardest. And so like, and by the way, Bart looked ridiculous the first season on Tracy Ullman. That shit upgraded. If you don't think VeeFriends are gonna upgrade once I fucking blow this out and steal all the fucking animators from Disney and Pixar, you're fucking nuts. So you can make fun of my early fucking renditions, but like, I'm not fucking around here. And when fucking Accountable Ant shows up on book bags and Rare Robot is flexing all over graffiti, like everyone's gonna remember this Clubhouse and be like, fuck, he really did it.
Yeah, I love that. But at the same time, like, who are we to say what is nice, what's not, right? Art is subjective, and art is what you're true to. And it doesn't matter. I saw some people on Twitter, we all saw that, but at the same time, it doesn't mean anything. I remember even seeing O'Shiny tweet, and he was saying, and he's a very large collector and a great person, and he was just like, it doesn't matter. What Garyvee is doing is beyond even the art itself.
Well, that's been the part. By the way, that's been the most fun for me. I almost feel like I'm doing like a Muhammad Ali Rumble in the Jungle rope-a-dope. I think, which is exciting because it's really working out for me. I wanted to show that there was so much more in the technology of NFTs, right? Big shout out to Aaron Battalion, an incredible, developer who's the CTO of Living Social, who made me buy Ethereum in 2016 at South by Southwest and really taught me. And he's like, this is how it's different than Bitcoin. It's a platform, and like, the reason I have videos in 2017 talking about, people buying homes and leases and contracts, like, was because of him and the learnings I did then. And, that was very important to me in this project, but I'm excited because right now the attention is on VCon and Gift Code and sitting courtside with me and dinners and all this random shit. And meanwhile, I'm like, okay, good. Now everyone's paying attention to that. For the next 3 years, let me go build Raggedy Ann. Let me go build Shirley Temple. Let me go build Popeye the fucking Sailor Man. Let me go fucking build Super Mario. Like, it's gonna give me time, and I'm gonna fucking do it.
Oh, yeah. If you definitely sound like you're gonna do it, and we know you're gonna do it because so far everything you said you do, you did. I've only been following you for like 6 years now, which I think is a lot. But it's every single call, everything. It's funny because they laughed at you too, and I tweeted about that 2 days ago. They laughed at you too when you defended Facebook $1 billion acquisition of Instagram, right? And it's funny because right now the same people are laughing at the NFT space and this and that, but I genuinely think that the people are going to be laughing are the people
now on the flip side, before everyone here gets too high on the Kool-Aid, like, the investments of a lot of projects are not going to work out. It's not that they're not good projects, it's that the supply and demand is going to be completely impossible. Like, let there be no confusion. There's going to be 3-4 years from now where almost everyone's going to have NFTs. Definitely every intellectual property that means anything. Every athlete, every actor, every influencer, every league, every video game, every comic book. Like, it's just gonna be overwhelming. It's gonna be like social media. Like in 2009 when I wrote Crush It, if you go read the first 100 reviews on Amazon, people are like, this is ludicrous. You can't make money just being yourself on social media. Now, it's one of the biggest economies in the world, and 85% of people under 18 aspire to be an influencer. That's exactly what's gonna happen with NFTs. Like, there will be the people that led, Blouse and others that did incredibly well, but now we're in the place where you have to really launch a significant project, and it's gonna get harder and harder and harder, but that doesn't mean you can't come along. Just, look at Charlie D'Amelio, like, she came along and became a very large influencer on a new platform. Years after influencer marketing and Instagram was real and YouTube was real, Mr. Beast wasn't there first on YouTube. Like, so if you can do it, you'll be able to do it. But I really think that people on the NFT thing right now, the macro technology is a foregone conclusion. There is almost no rationale for any brand or business not to issue NFTs in 5 years when costs collapse to do it. You're creating marketing material and you're creating a collateral royalty asset that could just be giving you derivative passive value if it becomes a collectible. There's just gonna be no reason not to. On the flip side, currently, there's gonna be a lot of things that are bought that are not gonna be worth as much as they're worth today in 6 years, even though NFT will be as normalized as social media.
I fucking love that. Music to my ears. Go for it, Fungible.
Yeah, no. Fungible's here. What's up, Gary?
Hey brother, how are you?
Great, bro. It was awesome the other night when
Thank you.
walked us through your
Thank you.
NFTs. I have to say, I'm surprised that Farouk is even maintaining composure right now to be able to interview. He's doing great because we've been aping all day. He was in some heavy positions, bro. And he's like, I gotta jump on and talk to Gary. I'm like, I don't know how you're gonna.
We're trading on DeFi and 10 minutes before coming on here, dude.
It's been nuts today. But you know, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you know, I think the way you've done it, obviously with the utility aspect, is brilliant, and that's what we're all about. You know, what's happening right now with ETH and gas fees, like today, each transaction was like $400 or $500.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned some other blockchains, right? Like Polkadot, Solana, Kusama, which is one that we're building on top of. And obviously those fees are nominal. Right now everything's going nuts because the Shiba got listed on Binance. So, you know, what are your thoughts on using other blockchain technology, and also just even tomorrow with the drop for, you know, because we had an investment we did today, and they came out and people were like hesitant to buy because of like $500 for gas.
You know, one of the things, let me be very clear here. A couple things, great stuff, thank you brother. One, other blockchains, can't wait. I just have had the luxury, I don't know, I just have been so close to ETH from the way out, and over the last 6 months, the way close, and it was just where I had to do it. Because I'm scared to do things I don't understand. So it was where I was most prepared to do it on. This is clearly the beginning of the next chapter of my career. The NFT thing, you know, it's funny, trading finance, like one of my favorite communities in the world is the Bitcoin community. I think that community is just legit, stick together, lots of stuff, and like even beyond the financial ramifications of the value, love to watch that community. I bought Bitcoin in 14. Bitcoin is kind of like stocks for me. Like I don't buy Wall Street stock. It just doesn't happen. I never do it. I don't like that. I like tchotchkes. I like sports cards. I like things. That's what I like. So for me, NFTs spoke to me. So, you know, I'm excited for this next chapter for myself, and I feel like, you know, AJ and I are we'll be announcing very shortly after VeeFriends a fund. So we're investing in companies in the space, an NFT only fund. I'm working on significant things in the Vayner world on it. This is gonna be a very big part of my life, which means, to your point, Polkadot, which I'm very curious about, like I wanna know everything, and I will. I'm busy as shit, which sucks. Like it's not gonna be 2007 where like I had Wine Library cruising, I had Brandon Warnicki, my best friend and right hand, running the company clean, and I was able to actually spend 15 hours a day in it. I don't think I have that luxury this time around, so it's gonna take me more time, and it's fucking a lot. Like it feels like, you know, you guys know this, every 72 hours it's like, oh, you don't know about this? You suck. I'm like, fuck. Like, you know, it didn't exist an hour ago. Like, I'm sorry. So like, you know, like there's so much to learn, but yes, first of all, I have to be very thoughtful of what I do with NFT drops. I'm pretty committed to VeeFriends for the rest of my life, and so if it goes sensational, 3 years out, could I see myself doing a series 2? It's run through my mind. You know, one of the things I've been worried about is so many people blocked out from this because of the price, the way ETH has evolved, how expensive my company is to build. So I've been thinking about a low cost token in VeeFriends world at scale. Doesn't give you access to VCon, to be unfair. I have to think of that through, but that's probably where my head's at most right now. I'm like, what's the half a ETH thing that I can put out that everyone can get involved in? So it's kind of like, it becomes this cute little, like, I don't know how many of you were with sports cards, but like every year cards would come out, but then people would get traded and new rookies would come up. So there'd be that mini like updated set, tops traded, Fleer update. So like, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do, I think, and maybe that doesn't need to be on ETH, by the way, and maybe it does. And like, but to answer, I'm going long-winded because I'm enjoying myself jamming with everybody here. Yes, I feel like it'll be very unlikely for me not to get involved. And more importantly, one of the reasons I keep bringing up Polkadot, on surface level, I understand that they believe in a world that I think I believe in, which is, this is not a winner-take-all world. I don't think this is ETH or Flow or, Solana. Like, I think that there are multiple chains that matter in a decade. And I'm excited about that. I want to learn everything. And as far as gas prices, I'll use this platform to say something I haven't said. There's a part of me that'd be just as excited if everything hit the floor and nobody bought a damn token. Because I know exactly what I'm going to do. And so, like, I'm excited by whatever happens. And if people balk because of the gas price, I'm empathetic to that, because nobody should spend any money on anything that they're not educated on, believe in, fully about. And I have no entitlement to what should happen tomorrow. It could be a massive quote unquote flop. For me, if things sell at the floor, I'm thrilled. Of course, I make more money if they don't. That's fine. I'm an entrepreneur. I'll take it. I'm not going to cry about that. I'm happy. But, if they all just sit there, look at Mooncats. That shit was discovered years later. If they all just sit there, I'm still trucking to what I'm doing, and I have a funny feeling as I start announcing what I'm doing, different things will start happening. So we'll see.
That's awesome, bro. By the way, if you want to check out what NFTs can really do, like crazy technology, let's chat. I'll hit you up after.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what you're doing. Like, what's funny is I started getting real serious in the winter, and then I went into like, it's funny, I didn't know this about myself. Now I'm completely sure about it because it's the third time I'm doing it. I didn't fucking own a computer when I decided to launch winelibrary.com. Did not own a computer. When I saw Web 2.0 and personal brand and content, YouTube, Twitter, I had never given a speech. I got a D in speech in high school. I never was a personality. I don't think I've ever been to Los Angeles when I filmed the first episode of Wine Library TV. Never thought of myself as somebody that people would know, but I jumped in and went full throttle, Garyvee it, right? Here I am, and I realized what was happening, and I immediately went into project mode, and what it taught me was, I only learn from being a practitioner. The only way I'm gonna really know this shit the way I need to know it, to invest, to consult, to be about it, is to launch my own project. And so that's where I've been deep from an Ethereum and my own project standpoint, Rainbow Wallet, non-custodial, custodial gas, but I can't wait for this summer to like really go on that learning tour. And I think having an investment vehicle like AJ and I, Phil Toronto, who might be in the room right now, who's been my guy. Phil Toronto, the reason Vayner RSC, my last fund, went into Coinbase, and Roll. Like, we've got the right team, we're a family, and we're gonna go at this hard, and I'm sure we'll be talking.
Oh, I can't wait, that's for sure. And I'm sure everybody else, I would never, ever, I know you're nervous about it and you don't know what to expect, but personally, I could never see this ever be a flop just because of the amount of work that's been put behind it and the amount of how every single person is talking about it. I mean, and in a good light as well. I mean, it's really it's a big thing. I mean, if there's one person, I mean, we've been here trying to sort of build a bridge between the mainstream and the NFT space, right? And in every way we can. But you're Gary Vaynerchuk, so it pulls a lot of weight for sure. What I like the most is that, like I said earlier, you brought so many people on Discord, talking to so many people about everything, about crypto, that now they've probably seen their since you've been talking about, I think ETH probably doubled, so they're probably happy about that, and you've lowered the amount of ETH that it's going to cost to buy into your NFT. So technically, if they shift some off the top, they're in profit as well. So I think this is pretty cool itself, and there's a lot of cool metrics to this as well. It's going to be fun, and I like that you're making a 5-day event. This is really interesting. Was there like a thought process behind that, or why was it 5 days long?
Because I wanted to be able to see I think there's a lot of there's two groups I'm worried about. And when I say worried, I'm beyond humbled and flattered that these two groups are there. One, the true OG whales who actually, I think, have every day steadily over 3 months gained belief that I'm not full of shit, and they know this project is on the amount of coverage in the mainstream media, like they know. And so I know if I was a whale, exactly what I would be doing with this project. So I think they're smart. And then the non-crypto whales that are in my life who've been bombarding me, who I've had like, big shout out to Nick Dio and Tyler and others who've been helping people learn how to get a Coinbase, and who are like blindly in support of me. People have been asking to invest in me for a long, long time. So I was like, fuck, they're gonna block out people. So one of the reasons it's a 5-day event is I wanna be able to adjust to what happened. I wanna spread it out. I wanna like think, here are things that I've done in the last week as I've felt the momentum build. I've held back more tokens so I can give out free tokens to people who couldn't afford it in my Discord. I've lowered the price of my starting price of a lot of tokens. I'm trying to do the best I can in a world where you can't control a lot once you mint and go on chain.
And another thing you pointed out is there's absolutely zero fiat involved in this.
That was important to me. I think huge shout out to Roham again, OG, big fan of Flow, big fan of NBA Top Shot, completely one of the watershed moments of this era. And them and Bitsky, I love what Donnie, Bitsky's awesome. Like there's a lot of people doing epic fiat shit. For me, it was important to do a pure play on chain, I just wanted to do it in a way that I knew would teach. I know who I am and what my contribution can be. And I knew that I could destigmatize and eliminate fear and help a lot of people learn. The whole Ethereum price increase. I mean, I've gotten hundreds of DMs today in my Discord, like, Gary, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna buy Ethereum to the moon. And I'm like, great, like do your thing. Like, I'll be fine. And trust me, if you don't think I'm gonna try to stick it to you to outpace the currency, I will. But I'm really proud of that. I really think I taught a lot of people TikTok and LinkedIn. Like, I live for the admiration I get in my DMs and email. It's the best feeling. Do you understand what it feels like for hundreds of thousands of people to communicate to you that you did something nice for them and ask for nothing in return? I feel like the karma, what did I call my karma character, Andy? What's karma?
Kudu.
Is it a kudu? Is it karma kudu? By the way, the best part of the project, I don't think it's kudu.
No, I think it's a bird. I'm gonna double check.
Kiwi, it's the karma kiwi, because I wanted to give a huge shout out to New Zealand that I think does incredible stuff it's a kiwi. Like, I think the karma kiwi shed its wings on this one for me. Like, the fact that so many people are gonna win on this project without even buying anything because of what happened with ETH makes my heart smile.
I love that, and I love the karma kiwi. I think it's awesome.
How about the gift go?
Well,
You said there's some pretty insane shit behind it.
The gift goat is crazy. The gift goat is a token that when you buy it, the contract says minimum 6 times a year, over 3 years, so 18 times over this life cycle of at least the off-chain events, I'm gonna send gifts in the mail to people. It's going to be a fucking bananas show. I'm so excited about it. But that's the other thing. Like, again, when it gets a big headline of the revenue this project makes, nobody's thinking about the $300,000 in salary of the 2 people that I need to hire just to buy shit for Gift Goat. So this is a real undertaking. I decided to go fucking for it. But yes, Gift Goat, I think somebody's gonna take the Gift Goat model and build out an entire game just on that concept alone. I was so, you know what it was? I was so affected by Woot. How many OGs in here? Hit me up on Twitter right now if you're listening. If you remember Woot.com, which was absolutely the precursor to Groupon and Living Social, and Amazon bought it, WOOT, and they had like a surprise box, and it was like just the greatest. You would just buy it. I do it with secret wine offers all the time, like with wine text. Like, there you go, KJ. He remembers, let me just follow KJ here. That's been the other part. It's been so fun to like, I've completely upped my community game on, let's go, Michael. Love this. Montgomery, who's been great.
Yeah, Twitter and Clubhouse, the perfect, like.
And Crystal remembers it. Anyway, that's kind of how Gift Goat is. Like, and remember, that's what's so fun for me. Gift Goat's gonna start at 15 ETH, floor of 5. I'm gonna look at how it plays out, and I'm in control then of what comes. And so, it's gonna be a fucking blast. Like, I'm just so, I don't think people actually understand my energy behind this project. I really don't.
Yeah, it goes very, very deep, and I think we can really hear it. For everybody who's curious about everything we're talking about right now, one more time, if you go to VeeFriends.com, or I just tweeted out the link to just meet the VeeFriends directly, since we're talking about Gift Code and all the characters and the breakfast bat, brunch bear, lunch ladybug, dinner deer, hangout hawk. I mean, the names are so cute, and I love them, you know, and the way you put them on a card and everything. By the way, you just reminded me, I've been so lost in this whole space that I have 60 cards still at PSA, and there's a bunch of Charizards in there, so I'm pretty excited about that. Totally forgot about that. But I love to see these characters, and I think they're so awesome.
What's really fun for me on the 268 characters is, like, I'm looking right now at the beta site, right? I'm looking at legit llama, right? And I'm just like, when I look at it, I'm like, man, like, this is drawn in a way where, like, on a hoodie, or like there's just so much I'm thinking about, right? Like, Workout Wolf. It's a very unique one. It's a very expensive one because it comes with a workout session with me and Mike Vacanti, my trainer. And don't forget, all the access ones are actually multi-year tokens. So people will get it, and then they get to decide what they do with it. But like, when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, so that's Workout Wolf. But yes, I'm building my kind of Pixar, right? But I'm also a CPG guy, so why can't I convert Workout Wolf into a protein bar brand? Or why can't I JV with a protein company? I'm excited to really show who I am as a businessman, because Garyvee is such a overarching reality that over the last 7 years, I don't think a lot of people realize that I built a $250 million a year revenue independent shop. I built with Ben Leventhal, who really drove the business, but I was the co-founder and investor in something called Resi, which went head to head with Reserve, which was all the Uber gang. We won. We built the best restaurant app that was new. We sold that for hefty 9 figures to Amex. I also, while doing Garyvee and building VaynerMedia, launched winetext.com, which everybody who's listening should sign up for my dad, which completely revolutionized my dad's business and rebooted it to the levels that it was at when I was running it. Also, I launched Empathy Wines during that time, and which was an 18-month execution of a direct-to-consumer brand, which we sold for a massive exit to Constellation Brands. Like, I don't know, like, I think I'm grossly underestimated as an operator, and like, this is gonna be fun to like show the breadth of those capabilities.
Oh yes, now you're making me more excited about this, because when you say you can, you know, go and tie it up to a freaking protein bar company, you actually can. Chances are, I mean, you have clients that have protein bar companies, and friends, and this and that. I mean, VaynerMedia.
I'm telling you right now, if you, you know, I'm looking at D-Rock and Andy right now, like Nima, like if you understood what my last 24 hours look like in business development for this intellectual property, you would shit your fucking pants.
I can only imagine so. And while you're talking about D-Rock and Andy, first of all, what up? I freaking love you guys. And second of all, I mean, it's the amount of work that your team has put behind these must be like, I mean, you guys must have been going nonstop. It's insane. I mean, I'd love to know how the dynamic was in terms of your team.
The team is Andy's a king. Andy K, like, I should probably give him all my tokens. Like, what he's done is revolutionary. Like, he's just been in it with me in the biggest way ever. Yeah, I mean, everybody, everyone's been going at it. You know, it's funny, Maha just reminded me, what's so funny about this is so many of the things that, you know, that this is about have a lot of nuances to what I did a year ago in the All-In Challenge. You know, Michael Rubin created All-In Challenge, and I really was kind of a wingman, and we raised over $60 million to feed the hungry during COVID. And it was all access, right? It was like bid on this and get this with this, or be in a movie with Leo. And it's just so funny, all your things, how they go, right? Or you know, going back to like my shout out to Andy. I'm sure if Andy went on the mic right now, his shout out would be to Steele, who's just been incredible on my team, who manages my personal CRM, but has been a godsend to Andy. So like, you know, there's always a trillion things going on that get you somewhere.
Yeah, it must have been an interesting dynamic, and I love that you talked about the All-In Challenge because that's exactly what it was. Like at the end of the day, you were literally, it's again tokenizing access and time to certain things for a donation, for a good cause. And I don't remember exactly how much you guys raised, but it was impressive to see how much was raised so fast for a good cause. I mean, wow, and again, back to the dynamic with the team, I think it must be so funny one day you wake up, all right guys, next 45 years of my life, I'm doing this project. It doesn't matter. There's no board meeting, that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's you know, it was $59.8 million on allinchallenge.com. I think, yeah, and I think my team's prepared for that. Like I talked to them about, you don't understand, we're building infrastructure. We're building a culture. We have no idea where this is gonna take us. Like, I had no idea that we were gonna build original IP in NFT land. Wasn't even a conversation in October. I was talking about like many other things. But they were with me when we were building out a toy 2 years ago called Workplace Warriors with these exact characters. You know, this is why like it's so, like this is what's so funny about life, right? When you see people, like this is one of the best parts of the D-Rock journey for me, is having the receipts. Fuck you, Garyvee, tweet. Fuck you, Garyvee, you just dabbled some shit together and throwing it out there and fucking like, I'm like, cool, here's a video of me 2 years ago trying to do the same exact thing in toy form, right? Oh, fucking Gary, like, didn't know what fucking blockchain was a minute ago. Cool, here's a video from me from 2017 talking about Ethereum at length. Like, that's the best part. Like, you know, and that's why, for everybody who's listening, like, talk about the things you know. It will always work out.
Oh, that's the best way to remain as authentic and raw and real as possible, and the best way to not burn out, because the more you fake it, the least you can actually go in terms of consistency. That's why you always preach consistency, and one thing I noticed is it's just by being true to yourself. Again, you're true to your art. That's how it's gonna last forever. Victoria, I've been seeing you avidly clap this entire time, and I want to hear your thought, and I want to know if you have a question for Gary, because we have a lot of conversations since months about all of this space and everything, and you're pretty deep into it. I'd love to hear.
Oh, thank you so much like, I'm just loving everything that Gary's saying right now, because it's all so relatable. And I want to comment on a bunch of things. The first one being how some of your NFT friends were razzing you, saying that your art is not art. First of all, I argue that, and here's why. It's not because of the doodles or anything. First of all, it is obviously your art because you drew it. Okay, that is art. Second, it's just a facet of what your actual art form is, and what your art form is business, entrepreneurship. That's your art. And these drawings, they're just a paint stroke in your canvas, in your masterpiece. They're just a small piece. Like the way you're talking about everything right now, you sound excited, exactly like, you know, a little boy who just got a pack of sports cards and he's like opening them up. It's literally what you sound like. And I'm here for it, you know, because like, just like you, I would also go thrifting and go to garage sales, because I used to be a huge video game collector. Like, dude, like I had an Atari 2600, a 5200, an original Pong unit, a fucking Nintendo Famicom, the original from Japan. Like, I was no joke, bruh, let me show you my collection someday. You will like shit your pants. But like, yeah, but like, it's so relatable though, you know, because that's what you love, and that's your art and your business, the way you think things through, you plan it out, the way so many of us artists do. And like, I've been in that situation where people have been neglecting my art. I'm a software engineer. I love programming. Computers are my canvas, you know, like my code is my art, man. Like someone the other day asked me, do you write poetry? Because we're having like a poetry corner on Clubhouse. And I'm like, I don't write poetry, I write code. That's my poetry. And that's just the way I exist.
I get
so
it.
I just wanted to like,
thank you. I so get it. Like I feel way more creative than I feel like business finance, right? Like I don't even talk to my CFO. I have no interest. I'm so not driven by the trophies, aka the money or the things you can buy with it. Like to me, entrepreneurship is such creativity, and I, you know what's funny? Me being a personality or me being an author, like all my friends from like junior high are like, who are reading this stuff and back channeling with me, they're like, they remember me doodling a lot. I used to doodle, I was very ridiculous in school. That's why I was such a bad student. I would draw my faces on the chalkboard. Like I used to draw wrestling figures all the time. My friends are like, man, it's so funny to see everybody accept you as a 5-time New York Times best-selling author, but not as an artist, because we know you, and like the book thing's far more ridiculous than the art thing.
Yeah, dude, I think you're a wonderful artist. Those books, wow, wonderful art. Your entire business infrastructure, beautiful art. And it's something that I could appreciate and look at it and be like, damn, that's awesome. And it makes me feel something, just like art.
Thank you.
I love that. That was beautifully worded. Thank you so much, Victoria. Wolf, you're with us. You've hosted a ton of NFT rooms, especially the most notable one was actually the Time Magazine room. And Keith is on stage with us, Keith Grossman as well. And Wolf, have you had the chance to look at the VeeFriends?
Yeah. I was lucky enough to be on that Zoom call quite a few days ago. I thought it was so exciting. Such an awesome concept. I love the Dutch auction. It's a decentralization of almost monetary elitism in a sense. I love the personalized doodles, as Victoria said. It really feels like a part of you, Gary. I love that you're only accepting ETH as a form, as a way to teach people a form of financial literacy and onboarding people on a crypto and blockchain. And then most of all, I think the beauty in this is the tokenomics and the relationship to the experiential events, Garyvee events, the one-on-ones. Coming out of COVID, I think we're heading into a roaring 20s of live experiences, and this just feels fresh as fuck, and I'm here for it.
I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
I love that. And speaking of the devil, just a little earlier, I was mentioning a tweet, and I was mentioning a collector that I absolutely admire, that I had the chance to recently be connected with. Oh, Shiny. What's up, man?
What's good? I mean, it's a pleasure to be here, Gary. Congratulations for persevering on making sure that everything's perfect and up to your standards. I'm sure you could have dropped it last week. I'm sure it was close to being ready. But it's really nice to see. And if I could just give you a little bit of my perspective on what you're building.
Did we lose him? Did I get kicked out? Sure did.
It's going to increase the value of this VFriends over the long term.
I just dropped for a second. I apologize. I'd love to hear though the insight.
Well, I was just saying, Gary, that really it's what's incredibly special about the drop that you're doing is not the drop itself. It's that you're allowing for a community to be fostered for the next 10, 20 years. And of course, you're the central node in that. And you're going to provide that value for the next 2, 3 years. I mean, I know you have plans to provide it for 20, 30 years. But the real special sauce in this is that when everyone congregates, they're going to create their own value. And then your community is going to be able to monetize in completely different ways and create value for themselves in different ways. And then start creating value for other communities. Right, that's the long-term business that's so exciting that you're creating here for me.
I appreciate it. I am excited. I feel like, I remember with Web 2.0, I felt like I was the guy, that could one thing I've definitely realized about myself, I did it with wine because wine's complicated, intimidating. I did it with social, and I feel like I have a knack for it. I just have a lot more education to go in NFT, but the parts that I do understand and have a good feel for, there's a translation engine in my head that makes me communicate things that reach a lot more people. Like, I got bombarded after CNBC and CNN by all sorts of celebrities, politicians, business people. Like, they're like, oh, now I understand NFTs. And so I do feel a sense of responsibility of that gift. And when I fall in love with an arena, I want to lift the whole thing up. Like, to me, the greatest way to be selfish is to be selfless. And like, I feel like I'm very excited to be involved, and I do think this project is gonna really help. I really do. I think it's gonna help more and more and more as I continue to do things. I think it's gonna, I like giving blueprints for people to, you know, refine, make better, by the way. I love seeing people come along and do the content model and the community management that I've done to be much bigger versions of quote unquote bigger versions of me, or small little versions where they get what they want. Because I think winning for me and success, one of the things I want to do with VeeFriends is redefine success. Like, not being anxious and actually being happy is a hell of a lot bigger win in life than making $1 million. And so like, we need to desperately bombard the conversation.
Damn, I love it. This is, I just love hearing it from you, and live is even much better of an experience, much more fun and cool than watching your videos. I mean, this is so cool hearing from you and how much passion there is. I mean, it's really freaking dope, Gary, and I love that. The best way to being selfish is being selfless. I mean, I hope some people are still taking notes here. This is cool. I love that. And Todd, this is absolutely amazing. Definitely tweet at Gary, by the way. He's very active on there. If there's any way to get to him right now and you know, share your thoughts, your feeling is definitely on his Twitter. You know, another talk about doodles and people talk about simple doodles. Dr. Seuss, your hat looks pretty simple to draw. Is that art? I'm just kidding. Grant, what's up, brother?
Yeah, what's up, man? Gary, what's up? It's good to hear your voice again after the Zoom call.
Thank you, brother. Same. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I just, for the people listening, I think the most interesting thing about you is, this might have been last week, I was reading an article about you talking about an NFT winter coming. Mm-hmm. And leave it to you in the face of winter is coming to find time to drop your own NFT collection. And I think what everyone needs to understand is that, unlike many athletes or some other people that are trying to get the quick buck, which you have obviously talked about so far, you are in it for the long game. You see past the winter to the summer, to the spring, to the summer, and I think it's shown by these cards and the actual value that they have for many of these first-time NFT buyers, what they can actually to get in the real world, but also hold on to in their NFT collection. And I just kudos to you, man.
I appreciate that, brother.
I was like, those are some big cojones right there. To be able to state that, and then be like, you know what? Fuck it.
Mainly because in that internet winter stock that I knew was coming, I was building Wine Library, and I knew all these pets.com. I knew it because wine.com raised $154 million, and I was a cockamanian 24-year-old sitting in New Jersey beating the shit out of them because the people that were running it had no idea how to run the business in the wine business. And that's how I was like, oh, these people that get a lot of money, like, oh, okay. And so, you know, yes, I think that's gonna happen here, but, you know, I remind people in that 1999, 2000, and then it really collapsed in March and April 2000, you know, Amazon and eBay stock was sitting there. It was sitting there at $1. You know what I mean? And those were real companies for the next 20 years. And so that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, my mom's still slapping my dad about not listening to her. You know? Mm-hmm. She was the one that had all those great tech advice in the early 2000s. My dad was too stubborn. So there you go. Dr. Seuss, what's up, Grant?
Should always listen to
happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
When it comes to stocks. But I wanted to ask another question too. So there's going to be, obviously with this 5-day event, there's going to be the same amount. Is the allocation the same amount each day, or will there be? Is it gonna be front-ended?
Yeah, but I mentioned this earlier. 48.72% tomorrow, 19.996 the next day, 11.8, then 9.797. So kind of staggered out.
Boom. I love it. Thank you for saying again. That way people can get it. Yeah, 5-day drop. I'm excited for it. I mean, it's going to be an exciting 5 days for you. You're probably going to stress out the whole 5 days, but that's great. I did mention Keith Grossman just a minute ago. Keith, I like your profile picture, by the way. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? So just in full disclosure, I am like a boring old Jewish man in a much younger body. So I'm about to go to bed. But more than anything else, I just am a huge fan of what Gary's doing. And like, I just think that, everyone at times is just rooting for him because he's thinking about it the exact right way. And so, Gary, I thought your interview with Julia Chatterley on CNN the other day was amazing. I thought your comment about people thinking about this industry in 30 minutes or 30 years or 30 hours, 30 years was spot on. And just rooting the whole way through for you.
That's very nice, Keith. Thank you so much, really.
By the way, Gary, I know you're a New Yorker and an OG one, but
you're gonna ruin your stage. You've been doing such a good job, Farouk. Are you sure you want to ask him this question? You're gonna be very disappointed.
I do appreciate the kind words coming from you, but that's where you and I disagree strongly. As much as I love you and respect you, but Gary, New York bagels or Montreal bagels? Because I'm a Montrealer, and I'm a New Yorker.
Shit, I actually think Montreal bagels are better. Now on the flip side, let there be no confusion. That might be the only thing that Montreal is better than New York at.
I'll take that.
Smoked meat, Farouk. What about smoked meat?
Jay, smoked meat too. There's another Montrealer.
Hey team, I'm sorry to cut this short, but there's a lot of QA to be done before tomorrow, so I'm gonna bounce. I love everybody here. Thank you for the time.
Good luck, Gary.
Thank you, everybody. I wish you luck. Thank you, everyone.
Gary, I want to just say you really fucking crushed it. Clubhouse has been slow. You've kept it at 1,000 people concurrent the entire time. It's a big deal these days in Clubhouse, and fucking all the way to the moon with Garyvee, man. Fucking love you.
Love you more. Bye, everyone.
555.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
100.
Cheers.